The lights were on inside a store that's been locked for 11 years. And that wasn't the strange part. The strange part is, it turned on before we even got close to it. We were inside Westfield Crossings Mall, Ohio, closed since 2013, completely cut off. No power, no active systems, nothing. At least that's what every record said. But halfway through the second floor, something changed. A glow at the end of the corridor. Not emergency lighting, not reflections. A real store, fully lit, like it was still open for business. We thought it had to be impossible, until we got close enough to see the name on the sign. Hartwell's Home Goods, and the gate wasn't locked. It was just there, waiting, like someone had closed it recently, not 11 years ago. And when I touched it, it opened. I explore abandoned places with my friend Darius. We'd done malls before, hospitals, old schools, the usual urban exploration stuff. Most abandoned places feel empty. Westfield Crossings didn't. The entire building felt wrong the second we stepped inside. Not haunted, occupied. The silence wasn't normal silence either. Every footstep echoed too long. Every sound came back delayed, like the building was listening before it answered. We entered through a loading dock on the east side. The outer gate had already been forced open at some point, but the inner maintenance door looked newer than everything around it. Cleaner, scratch marks around the lock like someone still used it. That should have been our first warning, but we kept going. The mall looked frozen in time. Dead escalators, shuttered stores, dust covering old sale signs that hadn't mattered in over a decade. Emergency lighting flickered faintly overhead, washing everything in this pale green glow that made the corridors feel underwater. Then Darius stopped walking. He grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt and pointed down the corridor. That's when we saw the light at the far end of the second floor. One store was glowing, not flickering, not failing, bright, warm, stable, like a normal store on a normal evening. But that was impossible. The city disconnected power to the entire property years ago. No active utilities, no backup systems. There should have been nothing alive inside that building. But there it was. Hartwell's Home Goods. The gate was halfway down but not locked, just resting there, like someone had closed up for the night and planned to reopen in the morning. We moved closer slowly. The shelves inside were still stocked, decor arranged perfectly, track lighting humming overhead. Nothing dusty, nothing disturbed. The entire store looked untouched by time. Then I touched the gate, and it rolled open immediately, smooth, quiet, easy, like someone had opened it earlier that day. Darius looked at me. Neither of us said a word, because by that point, we were both thinking the same thing. Someone had to still be inside. The second we stepped through the entrance, the atmosphere changed. The air felt heavier, not colder, not warmer, just thick, like we had stepped into a room where someone had been standing moments earlier. And the deeper we went, the less abandoned it felt. The shelves were organized too perfectly. Picture frames aligned exactly straight, display tables untouched. Even the floor looked cleaner than the mall outside. Like this one store had been protected from the rest of the building. That's when we found the first thing, and honestly, we should have left right then. At the back of the store, mounted above a furniture display, was a television, and it was on, not static, not some frozen menu screen, a live security feed, black and white footage from inside the mall. At first, I thought it was pre-recorded. Then I saw movement. Our movement. Flashlight beams cutting through the corridor outside. Two figures walking toward the store. Us. The feed was live. My chest tightened instantly. Because the camera angle wasn't from outside the store, it was from inside the mall, watching us approach before we ever entered. Darius tried laughing it off. Old security backup system, he said quietly, but even he didn't sound convinced. The time stamp up on the footage matched my phone exactly. Current hour, current minute, current second. Someone was actively recording us, and we still hadn't seen another person in the building. Then the camera feed shifted, just slightly, like whoever controlled it had adjusted the angle. That's when Darius said, "Okay, Oi, nah, we need to go. And we should have. But then we found the second thing. Near the back of the store was a hallway labeled fitting rooms, which made no sense. This was a home goods store. There shouldn't have been fitting rooms at all. But the lights inside the hallway were on too. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, one of them flickering every few seconds. The hallway had 8 stalls, and near the entrance sat a clipboard on a metal stand. I picked it up. Customer count logs, date, time, number of visitors, staff initials. At first it looked normal. Then I checked the dates. The newest entry was 4 days old, 9:47 p.m., one customer. Initials, EW. I flipped backward through the pages. Same thing, again and again and again. Every few nights, 9:47 p.m., one customer. EW, 7 months of entries. My stomach started turning because this wasn't random. It was routine, like someone was still operating this store long after the rest of the mall died. Then I checked my phone. 9:38 p.m., 9 minutes before the next entry should happen. Darius looked at me, and for the first time that night, he looked genuinely scared. Then we heard something, movement, somewhere deeper in the hallway, not loud, just enough to make both of us freeze. And then, a warm light appeared under the final door at the end of the hall. The door was cracked open slightly, warm light spilling through the gap. And I remember thinking, if someone's inside, we're about to find them. I pushed the door open, and everything stopped making sense. The room inside wasn't storage. It was a living room, perfectly arranged. A couch centered toward the wall, lamps turned on, bookshelves organized neatly, a coffee table with a remote placed exactly in the middle, like someone lived there. But the wall the couch faced was covered in photographs, hundreds of them. Security camera printouts from inside the mall. Corridors, escalators, food court seating, maintenance hallways, every image taken from hidden camera angles. And in almost every single photograph, there was a person, always blurry, always partially visible, always near the edge of the frame, like the cameras were following them, tracking them, documenting them. Then I found the newest photos, 2 images side by side, same corridor outside the store, same timestamp sequence. The first image showed 2 people walking together toward the camera, me and Darius. The second image was taken 6 minutes later. Only one person remained in the frame. I stared at it, then looked at Darius. He was already staring back at me, and quietly, almost whispering, he said, "Which one of us disappeared?" That was it. We ran. We sprinted through the hallway, through the store, past the television still showing the live feed. And as we passed it, I looked at the screen one last time. There were still 2 figures visible on the monitor. Even though only Darius was beside me, we ran through the mall, down the frozen escalator, through the loading dock, and out into the parking lot. Neither of us spoke until we reached the car. And even then, neither of us wanted to say what we were both thinking. I still think about that night constantly. The television, the logs, the cameras, the photographs. But the thing that stays with me most is the monitor. Because when we ran out of that store, I know what I saw on that screen. 2 people, not one. And sometimes I lie awake wondering something I can't explain. If Darius was standing beside me the entire time, then who was the second figure still visible on the monitor? We never went back to Westfield Crossings, but every few months, I still check the date. And every single time it gets close to 9:47 p.m., I think about those log entries. One visitor, always patient, always expected, like the store wasn't abandoned at all, like it was waiting for someone to return. And honestly, I thought it was over after we escaped that mall, until 3 weeks later. Darius called me at 2 a.m. and said, "Check your email." That was it. No explanation, no panic, just that. So I opened my inbox. One message, no sender, one attachment, a black and white security photo. At first I didn't recognize the place. Then my stomach dropped. It was my apartment hallway. Timestamp 9:47 p.m. And standing outside my door was someone wearing my clothes. Same height, same build, face blurred. Then I noticed something worse. The photo wasn't taken from the hallway. It was taken from inside my apartment. I called Darius immediately. No answer. Then another message appeared. Check the second photo. So I opened it. Same hallway, same angle. But now the figure was gone, and my apartment door was open. I remember slowly looking toward the dark hallway inside my apartment, then hearing movement near the kitchen. Soft, careful, like someone trying not to be heard. That's when I realized something. Whatever was inside that store didn't stay there. Darius disappeared 2 days later. No trace, no calls, nothing. But sometimes, late at night, I still get emails with no sender attached. Always one photograph, always time-stamped, 9:47 p.m., and in every image, there are always two people. Not one, two.